Welcome back to SwitchCorner. It's time for our weekly look at my favourite deals across the Nintendo eShop. Here I'm going to be covering the US, Canada, UK, EU and AU. With this one, as always, it is any price goes. So I will say prepare to flex that credit card. If you do want to look at, the cheaper side of the eShop, then maybe check out my Thursday edition where I look exclusively at 10 deals under $10 or of course your local currency. On that one, I will say as well, we're also giving away right now 2 copies of the recently released Carrion. I'll be linking that video at the end of this one. As always then today, as we go through these games, I have 2 winners to announce for 2 $10 eShop gift cards. But as always, I am doing that giveaway again. All you need to do to enter, drop a comment below and I'll announce the winners on next Saturday's episode. So with that then, hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here, join our growing family, and let's get started. So as always, check the upper left corner for pricing in your region if it's available and when the deal is going to expire. I've got to say though, this week there's some really great games on offer, some of them on discount for the first ever time. And with that in mind, kicking us off this week, a game I recently spoke about on the weekly Hidden Gems video, Night Call. It's the smallest discount on today's list. I gotta say, it's coming in at 20%, but it's also a really recent release. I think it came out maybe a month ago at this point. Here's the idea though, a serial killer has been on a rampage across Paris. With the body count, rising, no one has basically ever survived to give information on these crimes. That is, of course, until you come along. You're a survivor and actually the only ever one, and you quickly, basically for this reason, go from witness to suspect in a matter of minutes, and it's now down to you over the course of a week to prove your innocence and uncover the mystery. To do this, you'll be driving your taxi around Paris because, well, we all need to pay our bills, but at the same time talking with your customers to gain new information. It is very much a visual novel for the most part, basically with gameplay revolving around, selecting passages and then choosing dialogue options. But I really enjoyed it. I'm a sucker for a good mystery and then throw in multiple cases to solve of varying difficulty and these beautiful noir visuals. And yeah, I think this one is a really entertaining ride, well worth a look. And as I said, first time we've ever seen a discount, so definitely worth, checking out. So now RPG fans, this week is going to be a good one for you, and the first collection I want to talk about here is basically a trilogy of games coming from Tokyo RPG Factory. They're not directly linked to each other outside of the publisher, but you'll definitely feel, similar mechanics with all 3. First, we get I Am Setsuna with 50% off. Not quite the lowest price we've ever seen on this one, but that was a year ago at this point, so I don't think it's too much of a concern. Here though, you'll be travelling with Setsuna as she sets out to save the people of her land. It's a classic JRPG, that isometric viewpoint, pretty much turn-based battle system, but I will say it is influenced by Chrono Trigger. It's a really good game though, that's especially good for handheld play, and I strongly recommend it. Next up then, a spiritual sequel of sorts, Lost Sphere, channeling the same visual style and then probably I'd say adding in slightly improved mechanics. Lost Sphere takes us on an adventure with a young gent by the name of Kanata. He is awoken to find his town disappearing, and he must face off against a foe that threatens the very fabric of reality. The gameplay, as I say, it does remain largely the same here, but for me, I think I preferred the storyline of this one just a little bit more, to be honest. It felt a little bit closer to a Final Fantasy-esque experience. This one though, it also does include a slightly better discount, coming in with 60% off, and if you want to try this one before you buy it, there is a demo on the eShop. So finally then, to close out these 3 games from Tokyo RPG Factory, kind of capping off this trilogy of sorts, Oninaki, and I haven't played it honestly, so I can't really comment on its quality, but Oninaki throws out the Chrono Trigger battle system and replaces it now with a hack and slash vibe, making this one very much a, action RPG, because all the other mechanics we know and love, they seem to be absolutely intact. This one though visually looks absolutely stunning, where they've kind of push that perspective just a little bit closer, and there's this whole cell shaded vibe to it that looks just stunning. It's one I've been meaning to add to my collection, and now I gotta say it's finally the time with 50% off. Also again, if you want to get a taste for how this one feels, like Lost Sphere, it also has a demo available on the eShop. What I like about this Tokyo RPG Factory Trilogy discount overall is you can basically get here all 3 games for the price you'd normally pay for Oninaki alone. So with 3 absolutely huge experiences out the way there, let's slow things down a bit with Abzû. Abzû, first off, is absolutely incredible. I'll get that out the way now, but it's also for those of you who want something that I'd say is just a little bit more on the chill side. This one's coming from the creative mind behind the incredible Journey and Flower, and this underwater adventure very much captures that, like, you know, same spirit of almost like relaxation. This one, it's really an experience you need to have though, as you uncover the story at your own pace and just discover these like truly like stunning underwater scenes and locations. It's for sure not going to be for everyone thanks to its kind of pace, but this is actually a favourite of mine on the Switch, and to wrap up this entire package, it really does have one of the best scores to any Switch game out there. 30% off, it makes it an absolute steal if you think you can handle a more, you know, subdued experience. So next up then, while we talk about almost alien-like locations and mystery, Journey to the Savage Planet, it has found itself on the sales list for the first ever time. Recently we've had some amazing ports, like let's say Bioshock, then some I'd say like, you know, weaker ones like The Outer Worlds. Thankfully this one for the most part I'd say is on the good list. Here what we are getting is a first-person shooter that owes its setup to, you know, the Metroidvania vibe. Basically you're exploring a location, you reach a roadblock, you need a new piece of equipment, you craft it or find it, and you repeat, progressing just that little bit further. It's not perfect, it's got a frame rate that does drop on occasion pretty much when you're in battle, and it doesn't have gyro control sadly, but you know what, it's a fun world to explore, and it has this great overall like visual style and sense of humour you rarely find. Don't let the frame rate put you off too. It is first person, but I will say it's not fast paced and it's not really going to hurt you too much. It's only 20% off, but it's better than nothing for a game that only came out like 2 months ago at this point. It even has like co-op online support, which is really cool. Alright, so before we do get to our first winner of the week then, one more game, Final Fantasy IX. While we touched on a few Final Fantasies in my Thursday edition of this video, this one just creeps into today's list thanks to that 49 cents. But what a great entry this is, honestly, and 50% off just makes it even sweeter. Final Fantasy IX, it's a funny one for me personally, because back on release 20 years ago now, scary, I didn't like it. The visuals had changed to this more like cartoonish vibe, which felt like a big departure from, you know, 7 and 8. But over the years, I've just kind of grown to love it more and more, and now it's actually up there as probably one of my favourite entries. It's Final Fantasy, you know, it's a pretty traditional like JRPG, this one. We're on this adventure to take down a queen who started a war, but naturally it's Final Fantasy, so it gets a whole lot deeper than that. But overall, this is just a really strong port, this one. It comes with like some HD improvements and even some extra options, like you can change the speed of gameplay and the number of encounters. You can't really go wrong with any of the classic Final Fantasy entries though, and that's very much the case here. So our first winner of the week then, Paul, pointing out he's been playing the honestly incredible SteamWorld Dig 2 and having an absolute blast with it. It is an awesome game, and I also kind of agree with him here. It's one of those games that feels like it's absolutely loved, but almost like not enough people are playing it. Congrats Paul, drop me an email, you'll find my contact info in the video description below. Still a second winner to come, but of course before that, more games. So let's do a quick one for you now. Oddworld Munch's Odyssey, and the first discount we've seen on this one since it was released. I reviewed it over on the channel, and it was, in my opinion then, completely overpriced for what we're getting, but I am feeling a lot better now we're kind of seeing this 33% discount. I don't think this will be a rare discount though, just know that. If you look at Stranger's Wrath, the other Oddworld entry we have so far, seems to get this same 33% discount maybe every like 3 months or so. This one though, if you do decide to jump in, it's a 3D platformer as you go on an adventure with Munch and Abe to take down the tyrannical leader and save your people. It's definitely showing its age at this point with its gameplay, and I'd probably mainly recommend this one for fans of, you know, games of this time, or just real big fans of 3D platformers. But I will say you can also do a hell of a lot worse. This series is known for, and this game pretty much embodies it, a weird sense of humour, a great level design, and just a whole lot of charm that I'm sure you will enjoy. If you haven't downloaded Stranger's Wrath though already, that's also on sale, and I would say personally that's where I'd start. It combines third person and first person elements, and I think personally it's aged a little bit better. So one of the very best visual novels on the Nintendo Switch now, Steins Elite, is a masterpiece of the genre, and with 60% off, it is a hell of an offer. Here though, you're basically playing through the anime in 24 episodes as you follow a group of young tech-savvy lab members who discover a way to change the past via email. Of course though, these experiments, spiral out of control and you'll find yourself very much at the center of a conspiracy with all sorts of like time travel going on and bad guys. Expect a ton of text here, but it is an amazing storyline that does away with, the usual like romance options and that sort of stuff. Very much focusing and pinpointing on crafting some of the best storytelling you will find. Visual novel fans though, this is an absolute must buy with its multiple endings, and you will no doubt go back more than once for its like 20 hours of story. So with that one out of the way now, another pickup for me because I've never played it, can't recommend it like Anunnaki earlier, but Steins Gate Zero. Kind of been holding off on this one. I was hoping for a physical release to go along my other Steins Gate, but with 50% off I can't resist anymore. This one is basically a direct sequel to Elite, but here not only do we have time travel, but now we're also throwing in artificial intelligence and a story where we're basically preventing the onset of World War III. It sounds like it's gonna be as deep as the first entry though, and reviews suggest it's a worthy follow-up. As a warning, on the eShop though, you will also see Steins Gate My Darling's Embrace. That one seems to be taking the characters of this world and throwing them into romantic plot points and scenarios, which isn't personally for me, so yeah, do with that information what you will if it's to your taste. Both of these games though, 50% off, it's a good price, and I will say the Steins Gate series I rarely see a discount. So next up then, Book of Demons was a game I went into expecting very little, and it was one of those, nice surprises, especially now with its 50% off. I will also add here though, I've not finished this one and I'm probably around, I'd say, the 4-hour mark. This one though, it's basically take Diablo and mix it with deck building as you set out to take out demons. This one though, it's not scared to, admit its influences. It even notes Diablo on the eShop. But basically what they've done here is they've combined all of these elements to make kind of like a dedication to it as well as a parody. Like deck building or hack and slash gameplay though, and you should find something to like here. So our second winner of the week then, Jeff, and there's not a lot I can say on this comment outside of thank you, and thank you to everyone here watching, liking, sharing, and just subbing to SwitchCorner. Drop me an email though to get your code, Jeff, and everyone else, drop a comment below to enter for a chance to win in next week's video. So our last 3 games of the week now then, and starting us off, we've got Ever Darkness and the Secret Hideout. I wasn't sure at the time how I would feel about this one because it was pretty much my first foray into the series, but after finishing it, I had that now I need to go and play more entries because I really enjoyed my time with this one. I'd consider this a relatively entry level RPG with this overall cutesy vibe and a big focus on crafting, but I really actually enjoyed the almost coming of age tale mixed with alchemists. It's for sure no doubt an acquired taste because I wouldn't say the story is particularly epic as you're used to in the genre, but if you want something that's a little bit more on the light-hearted side of things in its execution, this may be a good one to take a look at. So our penultimate game then of the week, Demon's Tilt, and what a game this is. I never really did honestly get into pinball games, or at least the digital variety, but this one just changed it all for me. Here it takes the pinball mechanics you're so used to and basically combines it with almost shmup and hack and slash elements. Expect here a multi-tiered table, magic, combos, multipliers, bonuses. This thing is insane and intense, and they even just dropped an update with bigger sprites, secrets and baddies. Throw into the mix then a metal-like electronic soundtrack, and I adore this game. I do wish it had more than one table, but that's about my only complaint, and this is one of my favourite games on the Switch to play in vertical mode. It's a worthy addition for those out there who want something that's a little bit different, and the discount of 30%, it was honestly worth full price already. So my last game of the week then, and one of my favourite games of 2020, and this game is AI The Somnium Files. Never did I think back then a visual novel mystery game would land so high on my list, but this is one of those rare games I would actually call a near 10 out of 10 experience, delivering not only on the story but the intrigue it brings along with it and the solid gameplay mechanics. I was just absolutely hooked. This one isn't just all talking, but a whole lot of investigation to accompany it, and I would say I can single-handedly thank this game for making me want to look at and check out Steins Gate and games like that. Here though, you're in a near future Tokyo playing as Special Agent Konami, investigating the case of a serial killer. Basically hunt for clues, question witnesses, and just enjoy this incredibly adult experience that I honestly haven't heard a bad word against. Highly recommended and rarely on sale, so 50% off here. It's a great price. And that's it, another week down. There's still a lot out there right now on the eShop for you to dig into, from the more chill experiences, so think Yonder, which definitely comes with its problems, to Capcom's usual drops, think Resident Evil and Monster Hunter. I would suggest taking a quick look if you can though, because it seems we have some really good discounts on the table right now. With that, a big thank you then to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support us. It really does help a huge amount, so just thank you so much. Then, if you're new here, hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.